We don't need UX. We know already everything about our users. Design thinking is dead. I'm sorry, I do only Agile. We don't have the time. Are you familiar with these sentences? So these are some of the things that I heard a lot in my career as designer. But whenever I was working on a product, a service, or a website, design thinking was for me always the best way to go. So, and today I would like to speak to you about the value of design and why we should all use a design thinking approach in our companies to come up with innovative ideas. First of all, design brings impact. And this means impact not only on the product and the user experience, but also on the business. It has been told that for every $1 spent in UX, you will have 100 in return. So probably design is good for business. These are some of the most famous companies in the world. They are successful. But why is it like that? What are they doing exactly? They are able to generate twice as much their revenue as their competitors on the market. Why? Because of design. In 2015, the Design Management Institute published the result of research that tells that design-driven companies outperformed by 200% the 500 Standard & Poor's company on the stock exchange market. And the same happened in 2017, research from McKinsey showing again the same results. So why, if design is so valuable for innovation, aren't all the companies using this approach? So I can understand that the design approach is not so easy for everyone, especially for people that are used to a more logical way to go. In a logical way to go, you start a project and you already know from the beginning what will be or what should be your outcome. Designer or UX designer, people working in UX, like to embrace uncertainty at the beginning. They like to use a pattern, user insights to understand more and more. And so at the beginning of a project, you might think, yeah, probably this project is gonna take too long, or the designers are not so well organized, but actually is a deliberate choice. So we are choosing to embrace this uncertainty because we are sure that this will bring more and innovative solutions, and at the end are also difficult to be copied by other companies. But what does it really mean, design thinking? So design thinking is essentially thinking like a designer. And designers like to think and start from the users, and using a user-centered approach to innovation and problem solving. So now I would like to bring you through 6 ways we can use also here at Tamedia, as big companies are doing, to make our company the best design and innovation performer. The first thing that big companies are very good in is investing a lot in design. So doing significant investment in UX, in learning, in building teams, but also in research, brings you to another level. So think about the last time you had a bad experience with the product. You are probably between these 88% of people that had a bad experience on a website. And these people are less likely to return to a website after this bad experience. And this means a lot of money. So if we take a look at the projection for 2020 on the global market only for e-commerce, we can see that is a matter of trillions of dollars. And according to a research from Weimar, the 35% of the money is often left on the table only because of bad UX. And if we do the math, it's actually around $1.4 million left on the table only because of bad UX. The best way to avoid this situation is to make sure that UX design is really embedded into your organization. In a recent interview, the head of design at Airbnb told, "I'm trying to figure it out how to expand the design culture of our organization so that everyone working at Airbnb, not just the designers, are thinking about the user viewpoint." So this is the reason why whenever we organize a workshop or a user interview or user testing, we like really to invite all the stakeholders on board so that they can really understand the user and empathize with the user. To understand if you are with your company already on the 6th level, so when the UX is really embedded into your company, you can use the maturity model. The UX maturity model is a way to measure where you are in the path of being a leader in UX. So now I will give you some minutes to read all the different levels, starting from the lower one, when your UX is not recognized, not important, until the 6th. And then I want to try a little experiment with you. Ready? So now I would like you to tell me if you think that your company or Tamedia in general is between the 1st and the 3rd level. So raise your hand and tell me which you might think the level is when we are. Okay. And then now raise your hand if you might think we are between the 4th and the 6th level. So I think that there's a few of you optimists. So the path to UX maturity is not so easy. So there's still a lot to do. But at Tamedia, we are actually already on the right path. But the best way to start is actually starting from the user point of view. So being user-centric. How to do that? So adopt an outside-in approach whenever you are starting to design a product. And that means combining quantitative and qualitative data to come up with new solutions. So ask your user questions, understand the why, understand their context, and meet your user regularly so that you can really grab the insights from the outside and not base your decision on guessing. And then, whenever you have already a product or an idea, test it, and test it early on in the process. There's already some very good examples at Tamedia, especially done by our researchers. And they are, for example, at Tutti, they are testing their product or asking questions to the users in the user testing cafe. This is a very nice way to test the product in a nice environment, informal way to meet the user over a coffee and grab some insights. So you don't really need a very fancy user testing lab to do it. At Car4U, we actually have a very nice user testing lab, and we can test the product early on when we have ideas, but also during the process. And using different methods, we test the apps or the different interactions. And the best way is that the best thing is that the researchers and the work that they do is really embedded into design sprint and development sprint. Whenever in our team we have also an early idea or early product, what we want to do is also to have a feeling from the user. So you might find yourself in hour of usability testing. And the guerrilla usability testing is the quicker way to go. But fortunately, we have so many methods that we can use depending on the project progress and the question that we want to ask, that you can really grab the one that fit for you. So the other point where bigger companies are doing pretty well is also in being able of hiring cross-functional talent. And they are choosing people very well skilled from all over the world. And here at Tamedia, we started already with the first step the last year, a small team of 3, where I was the employee number 1. And then we became 11. 7 nationalities and a very large range of skills from UX, UI, research, growth, strategy, but also product and project management. And I'm sure that Tamedia is already on the right path, because in the last year I already have seen at least 1 position open in UX in each company. But when you start a new team and you start a new project, make sure to find the balance between these 3 dimensions. So UX, technology, and business. And this is the right way to go to generate innovation, by producing products that are really balancing the feasibility, viability, and desirability. Because what happens most of the time is that UX is often considered a side field, or making only the product nice. And this shouldn't happen. So when you face a project and you want to really be like the big players on the market, come out with a lot of ideas. Don't fix yourself on the first idea that comes into your mind. And test these ideas early. The best way to come up with the new ideas and test them quickly is the design sprint. We tested that a lot. We use it as a method in our sprints, and it enables you to, in 1 week, to come up with new solutions and test them with the user within a week. We did it even in a day. For example, with the Job Cloud. We started with the challenge, we understood the users, and then we came up with a lot of ideas, and then we test them with the user right away in the same day. And prototyping is the way I like the most, when you have an idea and you really want to understand, is it something that is helping the user in reaching his goal? So do paper prototyping. Don't wait, for example, until the product is already on the high level of design or ready to be to go launch on the market. And this is really what we have done, for example, for the new Ricardo app some month ago with a very easy, simple paper prototype. And the last point where big companies are excelling in is also being analytical, so using data to take decisions. In our team, we are trying to find a framework that helps us really to measure our impact, because I can understand that on the C-level you will have often these questions. Is it our effort bringing impact? So measure and drive design performances as you do it for revenue and cost. But try also to combine the right KPIs. Find the balance between customer-centric metrics and business metrics. So until now, I spoke a lot about design thinking, and design method, design approach, but actually design thinking is not a one-size-fits-all approach to innovation. Fortunately, in the innovation pipeline, you have the opportunity to use so many different methods and framework, and you can combine depending on the situation of the product or the solution that you want to find. You can combine, for example, design thinking, design sprints, lean startup, prototyping, but also using business model innovation, agile development. And this is again a way to find the balance between UX, technology, and business. If you are really good in applying all those practices, design practices that I mentioned until now, you will probably be able to reach a higher level of UX maturity and also be more user-centric. And by doing that, the best result that you can have is to come out with business outcomes, as for example revenue, efficiency, reducing the risk in your project and your product, and embracing change in a way that your company can be resilient on a changing market. And at the end, you can also reach top-level business goals, as for example financial performance and innovation and change. But make sure to build really good user experience to make the user happy. And only in this way, I'm sure the money will follow.